Now, with you, you've had so much going on in your bio. It's talking about you had some level of awakening at 4 years old. What was that like?
Uh, that was weird because always feeling that something is just not quite right, and that's something I need to remember or know, but I can't remember at that time, so it's really frustrating.
So, like when you were there, I mean, at 4 years old, what was your mindset? I mean,
Oh,
what came in that told you something was going on or something was different or that you started to see the world through a different pair of eyes, maybe? I don't know how to explain it, but what was so different about that experience?
all what I remember the most is that the only thing that felt most important and I really had to do was to actually become a monk and stay in the temple, which of course was not what my parents. I mean, they thought I was nuts,
At
and
4 years old. At four
yeah.
years old?
So I asked to be sent to the temple.
Are you serious? I raised six kids. Okay. So you're
Mhm.
telling me, like, as a 4 year old, you went to your parents and said, I'm going to go do this.
Yeah, please send me to the temple and let me get ordained, and I want to
Wow.
stay there. That's where I felt like I would belong, and of course that didn't happen. And so I tried to learn about normal life, and I remember it took many years to try to integrate or go into um, normal life, and yeah, it was a tough time, and I felt like I was pushing through, almost pushing through gravity, and um, and when I finally, so every year in normal school, every year as the years passed, I felt like I was like forgetting more and more until when I reached like 13, and that was when I realized like this is not good. And at 13, 14, 15, so those were my years of like sinking to depression.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just felt like oh no, this is not right, and I'm like wasting my time here, and it's getting worse. And it's strange because it's not like it's triggered by some external problem or catastrophe happening around me. It's just that internal. I wouldn't say it's a voice at that time, just um, that force. I
Yeah.
don't know what was. Yeah. So it's not to say I was like really like clearly awakened at that time, but it's just I
No,
felt
but
that.
but how many 4 year olds go to their parents and say, "Let me go to a." You're right. I met a
Yeah.
beautiful, beloved sister in Kauai that I think at about 4 years old, and it's like three, well, no, it'd be like 4 or 5 years old. Her parents dropped her off at a monastery. And it wasn't in Kauai. It was, I don't know if it was China or Japan or where she was from, but you actually went to your parents and said, send me, I want to be a monk now.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. So after a few times of asking, I sort of gave up because they had very, like, it was like, what are you crazy? And they were obviously a bit upset because it was, they thought I was influenced by, I don't know, the movies or something else. But nah.
Or demons. Right?
Oh,
Influenced by
thank,
demons.
thankfully, it didn't go that way, so they didn't like get me exercised or something like that. Yeah,
Right?
it could have been worse.
So, like, I mean, so I'm familiar with your stuff like the last, say, year. All right.
Yeah.
Morgan turned me on to it. And you talk a lot about dragons. And I made the joke about demons, but something was speaking to you at 4 years old and at 13 years old. When did you finally break through and just say, I'm going to follow this? I'm not going to try to conform to the world and.
It was actually much later on. So at 13, 14, so I started looking for different type of information or knowledge. And this was a time just before the internet. So it wasn't so accessible. information was not so accessible at that time. So I had to look for books, libraries, and just started studying more on astrology and the occult, and started reading. And the turning point for me was when I think I was 18 or 19 when I actually entered college and I started studying psychology.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was really a breath of fresh air for me, and I always describe it as finally some colors returned to my life. And that was
Mm.
the feeling. It's like suddenly there was colors again. I felt alive because it helped me understand the human, what it means to be human, and there's so much beyond the physical experience,
Right.
and especially studying about the unconscious mind and all that. So that really helped me break out of and basically understand myself better, understand humans better. And after that, it was all the way. I started learning like metaphysics and started considering that as a way of life rather than a hobby. And so that became like my actual job. I started to
Now,
earn money
how
through
old
that.
were you? How old were you at that
This
time?
was 21, 21,
Okay.
22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started practicing Chinese metaphysics, and so exploration. So every year there was more of exploration and everything. So I just studied more and more and more, practicing more and more, and finally there came a point about 8 9 years after that, and I said I need to just walk this path like 100% and no
Yeah.
distractions, and yeah. So here I
So,
am.
I mean, without being nosy, how old are you now?
Now I'm 38.
Okay. So about 30, this realization happened. So you've had about 8 or 9 years of giving all of your focus to this non-physical or this whole thing, right?
Mm, yeah.
Um, I'm familiar with your stuff, from the last year and a half. There's a lot
Mm.
of stuff about dragons. There's a lot of other stuff in there too.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, when did you start to experience aspects of yourself coming at you and talking and communicating and opening codes such as dragons and other things like that?
Yes, the dragons only came a little bit later, and even that I wouldn't say I work with them like on a daily basis. Only when something big happens, uh, and really I'm very grateful to have like found Huang and all of you guys, because it really helped me make sense of so many things, because I didn't think that dragons was so involved. And of course, when it first started out, like I always question it still. It's like, oh, is this real? Am I hallucinating? Is it from my ego, or am I finally going crazy? But
Like
but
everybody
yeah,
else, right?
yeah. Oh, finally, this is it. This is the tipping point. But no,
Wait,
thankfully, it
let
just
me let me just
yeah,
interrupt you for a second.
sure,
Just for the purpose of all those people waking up now, and even those people that have been woken up for 5, 10, 15, 20 years,
yeah.
when's the last time you doubted yourself? When's the last time you actually looked at yourself and said, am I crazy? Even if I'm sharing this craziness with other people, are we all crazy? Are we the ones that are just like off?
Yeah. So
When's the last time that happened to you?
2 days ago, yeah. So
I've I've done
for
like
sure.
two I've done like 2,000 shows, almost 2,000
Mm,
shows, and I used to ask people a lot, when did you wake up? When did you figure out everything is upside down? And two people in all those shows have answered, when did I wake up this morning? So it's the same kind of answer, like 2 days ago. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah, that is really important, because I guess the because you still have the human brain and a bit of the ego, so we always have that doubt. But yeah, just learning to stick with it. So the dragons are, I encountered them after only like years of working with Egyptian alchemy. So everything for me really came together in Egypt in 2011, and so that was where I really started working actively on the alchemy, the transformation, and all that. And um, yeah, so I think for me, it's all about transformation, or and hopefully bringing that transformation to people. And sometimes it's very intense, so sometimes people run away, or I myself that, oh, I need a break from all this. And
Yeah.
yeah,
How did that message start to come to you, though, on a personal level? I mean, you obviously have insight into assisting other people and how to transform. How did it? How did you experience that? And again, I asked that question because there's a lot of people waking up. What was that like when you had to look at yourself, right? I mean, like when the universe said, "Hey, this is all your deal. This is all your, you're creating all this." How'd that go
yeah.
down for you? Was there like angels coming in, galactics, dragons, or was it just
For me, it's because I am still not clairvoyant. I'm more it all comes through feeling, so it's more like a
yeah,
claircognizant. And there was one day, I think, what, maybe 12, 13 years ago, or even 15 years ago, I was still working with, still dealing with a lot of banks and corporates, and feeling unhappy or something was missing. And then one day, I think I just woke up and I realized everything's a choice. Like really getting it, that everything is a choice, and I can't blame anyone, and I'm fully
right,
responsible for what I want to do in my life, my time here on earth. And yeah, just having that realization, and stop blaming
right,
anyone. Like yeah, and really now looking back, we have a way to describe it. It's like reclaiming my power to choose and re-choose and create and recreate. And yes, that was a very important event. And yeah, that was a big one. And therefore subsequently starting to practice, like what do I want to create today, and how do I want my reality to be, and just slowly reshaping everything. Of course, when at the start there's always a bit of a challenge. Yeah, working through old models, old resistances, and all that.
right on. So, like for you, the first time you had like a intense dimensional experience that involved your physicality, that wasn't third eye or lucid dreaming, because
Mhm.
I feel that you have, I mean, not feel, I'm not like being saying that I'm clairvoyant or anything, but based on what you're putting out there, and I can relate to that, my wife and I both can relate to it, this as an example, this connection with the dragons. Like, what was it like the first time they came in? Did you get scared? Were you right? Because I know other
Um,
people are going to have this experience. That's why I'm asking.
Encountering the dragons. I remember, I can't remember when was this, but could be about, again, like more than 10 years ago. I had this dream, a vivid dream, but very simple dream, and just looking up to the sky. And there's this huge, like, just the body of the dragon. And I felt like, oh my God, it's huge. And it was a little bit scary because I've never seen something so massive before. So that was one thing I always remember. And I think when I went back to when I went to Glastonbury for the first time, that was when I truly felt the, like, what I would describe as the heartbeat of the Earth dragons, and said, "Wow, this is very interesting." And I started like just meditating and tuning in, and information started to flow from that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was when I realized, oh, there are different types of dragons, and yeah, and
So you went from there's dragons to there's all kinds of dragons.
yeah,
have you have you how do you exchange energy and code with them? Have you do you merge with the dragons?
mm, not per se. It's mostly just I would say tuning in,
Tune
and
in. Okay.
tuning in, and
Good point. That's a good point. Yeah, because some people do tune in and others might merge
yeah,
energy, right?
yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably, they're probably cosmic templates from different universes or something, but I can see how you can tune in and that's emerging in itself, but then there's also the like the full body mergings and that type of thing. Have you experienced anything like that, or is it always about tuning in regardless of what kind of essence it is?
Oh, actually, you reminded me of another experience I had in Bali, the water dragons. Um, that one. it was a strange experience because I normally just tune in and we have like a conversation, but that one it actually entered my navel and I had like a stomach ache for a few days, and I brought it back to Malaysia, and then sort of like came out and it went into the earth and it formed like a certain matrix, so the energy grid as well. So that was at that time it was new and it was therefore strange to me as well. So I remember that, yeah, the water dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
what so what do you think about the dragons? I mean, since the latter part of 2018, I know for myself and for my wife, although she had dragon episodes prior to that, but there really seemed to be an uptick, you know, in dragon interaction. Let's just say that
Yeah.
with a lot of people, because I put up a few
Yeah.
posts about what was happening with me, and people were like, "Oh my God, that's happening to me," or you know. But why do you think that's happening? I mean, do you have that kind of intel to know why that dragon energy, the multi variety of dragon energy is coming in?
Hmm. I believe it's simply because more and more people are um, they're raising their own vibrations, and because the Earth's vibrations is also becoming more refined, alchemized, and
Hmm.
therefore we open the gateways, or rather remember the connection with this higher beings, high frequency beings, and so like it's kind of like they were always there, but we couldn't really access fully. So as time went by, we became more multi-dimensional ourselves. So it was just a matter of time,
Yeah.
the reconnection.
Do you think it's and I guess it's some of this is futile to try to figure out, but is it part of us? I mean, like part of us, like it's we're basically opening up code inside of us. This dragon energy seems to be very much about, certainly unconditional love. Also, no bullshit. we're
Yeah.
we're here to do what we got to do. No playing around. And also very much like a creator type
Yes.
of energy.
Yeah.
Does any
Yeah.
of that
Exactly.
resonate? Can you add to
Totally.
that?
Totally. The most basic forms of the dragon energy, which I work with, is the elemental dragons. So it's definitely about shaping the world, reshaping the world, not just physically and on all the like emotionally, the waters, our emotions, nature, the forest, the way we live, and also our bodily function and capacity. How the human body is supposed to become more and more efficient, and the dragon does represent that whole collection of encodings that will help the human body uh, constantly evolve. So pushing up, raising our capacity, our physical capacity, I would say. So definitely pure creation energy. And I also feel that the dragons have always been there, since the beginning of time, since
Hmm.
the spark of creation, and humans came a little bit later. So we are also like learning to really work with and integrate those energies for our own evolution. And having said that, I also have realized that there are many humans who are much more, maybe they are like, how do I say, like descended from the dragons or something like that, a much
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
intimate connection, which
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
Yeah, and that goes for a lot of essences. But I mean, like with the dragons, I mean, I know for me and for my partner, Morgan,
Mm,
we've had over, I don't know, I guess it's what, 18 months. Not only has it been this dragon energy, which always has the attributes of pure, I mean, like the highest love you can imagine, the no bullshit, right? And that creator aspect. And but the thing is, there's been green ones, there's been red ones, there's been white golden ones, there's been crystal dragons, there was a
mm,
13th dragon. So there's like these levels of the same energy, but it's expanded.
yeah.
And for, like one example would be twin dragons. We've had twin dragons come to us at least twice, really three times that I can remember, Is there any significance to when two dragons come? Maybe that's because there was a couple. I don't know, but do you have any intel on that?
Just a little bit, and also this is quite recent. Twin dragons, it's like twin flames, so they're here to um, how do I say, to basically not just bring in the higher blueprints, but also to make it tangible or bring it into the physical world. So that's why that sometimes I see them as mating dragons. So really to give birth, bring in the energies and give birth to it into the physical world. So it's very much
Hmm.
like midwifery of a higher sort.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I know on the show and just through like people Morgan's talked to and people I've talked to over the last few months, there was a lot of people talking about they were birthing, and most of them were feminine, if not all of them, birthing a dragon egg. Have you heard that?
Oh,
Yeah.
Ye- Surprisingly, yes, because it's I think only about early last year I started to have this. Well, it looked like an egg, but it's also like full of light codes or encodings.
Uh huh.
I didn't realize it was an egg at first until I like took a step back and I realized, oh, it's like it's an egg, so it is. Um, yeah, like also like a portal,
Uh huh.
yeah. So helping to bring some of the higher frequencies and then bringing it down a little bit and sending it into this realm, the earth realm.
Yeah. It almost feels like to me like the because I know that whether the energy is presenting itself to you or to me or to anyone else, we're human and it's got to communicate with us in a certain way. But the fact that there's certain essences that, like Archangel Michael or Mother Mary or Kuan Yin, you know, I mean, there's certain Saint Germain, there's certain energies that are consistent. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But the dragon energy seems to have come in a big way, like in the last year and a half.
Mm.
And to me, I mean, this is just me, or maybe it's my opinion or my perspective or whatever. But from whatever the total collective of my intel from what I see and what I get and all that, you know, not that I'm anything, but it's almost like the dragon energy are like the base components. And there's not one. There's like 12, 13, or whatever. I don't know how far it goes. That are like the base components of creation itself. Like each like each house of the dragon, and I'm trying to explain this in human terms, something that should be, you know, like painted. But like each house of the dragon contains a certain virtue. And as you master each virtue, you become, you know, like when we had a visit, it was when the 13th dragon came in. I'm not saying that we're that, but it came in and said, I am the energy of the master dragon. I am the composite of the 12 dragons. Almost like it was the top level of the journey or the realm, but that it was the lowest level of the next one, right? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. But it reminds me of like you said, building blocks. I think that's very much it. Like
Yeah.
in our body, the building blocks is protein.
Yeah.
So then there are like many types of proteins, and it makes up our DNA as well. So I think the dragons, on some level, also reflect that, like different types of building blocks for reality, and also the I would say new human body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool, man. I never thought I'd have a conversation like this, but this is
yeah,
cool.
me too.
So, like for someone like you, because again, I try to put myself in the space of everyone. Like I'm just the one talking to you. We're having a conversation. It's not an interview, but all my brothers and sisters that watch the live and the replay, like what's going on? Like what do we have in common? But because a lot of times we look at someone like you know, 4 years old, going to his parents and saying, "Hey, put me in a monastery." You know, I mean, and I'm just making a joke, but my point is, we might look at someone like you and go, "Whoa, he's got something I don't," and I know that's not what you stand for. How do you, like, in 2020, because 2020 has affected everybody?
Yeah.
We won't get into all the different reasons, but energetically, it's a new world already, basically.
Yeah.
How do
For sure.
you get by as the multi-dimensional Sherwin and human Sherwin? How involved is the human Sherwin in your, moment by moment existence?
Hmm. I would say it's a fluctuation of like 50-50. So there are
Mm,
times when I'm like up there or out there, and I have to remember to like come back and be here, and also to ground whatever that how do I put it? Well, I always believe that every individual is who has incarnated in this time has something to offer,
yeah,
and so I feel that my job is to push push people to
yeah,
come to that realization, and also that self responsibility, and that self love, basically, that self gratitude and self
yeah,
acceptance, that that there is so much more than what's going on right now. Of
yeah,
course, it's not easy,
yeah,
and mainly because the physical world, or the old world that we are so used to, is really just falling apart, and a lot of people are struggling with, oh, what do I do? Who am I now? With everything that's being destroyed around us, like, who am I? And yeah, just again
it's
holding the
a,
intention that everyone, yeah,
as we would say in Texas, it's a shit show.
yeah, yeah, and but
A
at the
shift
same time,
show.
yeah, oh yeah,
But
shift show,
what's interesting too is what you said about, like, everybody is observing everybody else, and we're seeing, like, we're we want to serve, and we see them out there, them, to a point, as separate from us, as
mm,
not being awake or not hearing my message, or do you know what information I have? You know what I mean? And I just wonder, you know, it would make sense to me, oneness, that what we're thinking about these people and what we think we're doing for these people are what we don't know about ourselves and what we need to give ourselves. And maybe there's some kind of correlation between not the wounded healer, but serving, that's going to kind of align everything simultaneously, like align everything within ourselves. When we are serving in the way that we most love and serving the collective, it's bringing us in, 3D terms, healing, alignment. But at the same time, it's actually occurring in the collective.
yeah, yeah, that is definite. So, like, I don't go out looking for people to awaken. So I guess my only job, literally, is to hold the highest vibration that I can, and those who align or who resonate will definitely
Yeah,
just, yeah,
yeah,
just appear, and then we'll work together,
yeah.
and yeah.
Do you ever, back to the people that are just waking up,
Hmm.
looking at someone, someone like you, and I say that with all respect, do you ever get triggered? In fact, I won't even say that. I'll say, when you get triggered, what do you
Yeah.
do? How do
Oh,
you
just
personally handle that shit? You know what I mean?
yeah, and I guess just acknowledge that, oh, I'm being triggered, and it's okay,
Hmm.
and just remember to breathe, and yeah, not take it too seriously. I think sometimes, as as light workers, um, we judge ourselves for being triggered, yeah, and
Yeah,
then we will start having all these like rules, and, oh, I just should and shouldn't. But for me, it's fine, and just do your best,
yeah,
just breathe,
Yeah.
and do your best, yeah, and then reflect upon and try to do better the next time. And
Yeah.
sometimes we
Yeah.
still screw up
Have you
and try
have you
again.
had great, yeah, thank you. Have you had any moments, this has happened to me like in the last 2 weeks, maybe three
Mm,
weeks, but certainly the last week, it's
yeah.
been very pronounced. Have you had any experience of like glitches, like in the Matrix? Have you? I mean, like you're looking at something, and I mean, I'm literally looking at something, and I kind of look back, or I don't know if I'm looking at it when it happens, and it changes, and something's different about it. Have you had anything like that happen?
For me, it's recent experiences is more like time glitch,
Yeah.
like 20 minutes has disappeared and it can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's just so that was the weirdest one for me. It's like what happened? Like I just turned my head and then yeah, like half an hour has disappeared. So that's weird. Or
Have
been
you have
or
you have
mm,
you now are you in a big city? Are you out in the
yeah,
country? Are you in a big city?
uh, yeah,
Yeah, I've
in the
noticed it
city.
too with animals lately. Like my wife, she feeds the animals, and there's like a mouse and a possum and two
Hmm.
squirrels and a crow and three mockingbirds and all these animals come out. And today I was walking into the house, and this black snake, which she had seen in the
Oh,
backyard, was in the front door, like looking at me. And I'm like, and I had this conversation with him, and I've connected with trees and nature and animals, but this was like at a different level.
mm,
This was like at a level when he was talking to me, his mouth opened.
mm.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I guess it's all happening to all the kingdoms at the same time,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. Definitely much more animals are coming in as well. Like recently we had a huge iguana and I was and this relates to the some of the dragon energies as well. So it came
Yeah.
really close one time. I was honestly a little bit a little bit like, oh no, don't bite me because it's quite
Yeah,
huge and
don't bite me.
yeah, don't bite me.
I love when you get on their back and you're like going out, into the air, and you're like, how do I hold on?
So definitely more animals are
Yeah.
showing themselves, yeah, and even like in the middle of the city, and so that is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all getting interesting. I mean, and like even with this whole thing that's going on worldwide, right? I mean, we created this whole thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that sounds like new age-ish and and all that, but we asked for a change, and we got it.
for sure,
And there's no going back now.
for sure.
I mean, what a magnificent job. What a group effort. What an example of the power of universal energy, of transformation, of creation. We have actually, and it look from a human level, it looks like some kind of crazy chaos is going on. But from an energetic level, we've arrived.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just my
I think
opinion, but I
so.
mean, we've actually arrived. We don't have to do anything or need to do anything or should do anything, but to me, this is a celebration. Yeah.
It is, and I think even 5 6 years ago, I used to tell my students that there will come a day where everyone will be forced to awaken and forced to
Yeah.
become self
Yeah.
accountable.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it would happen so fast.
I talked to quite a few people that are, I would say, of a similar vibration to you this year, and they've said two things that have really stood out. One of them was, I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to be like this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even a couple came on, and it wasn't like overt. It was just, it was just in the energy of the whole transmission or broadcast. You could see they were just rocked. You know what I mean? They were just like, oh my God, total vulnerability. And the other thing was, some of these people that can kind of like get intel that forecast the trajectory of where we're headed.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, this is what it looks like in 60 days. This is going to happen, but I don't mean like, you know what I mean? So, and I asked a couple of them and I said, so what do you think it's going to look like? And they said, hey, they're telling me that even with my vibration, I wouldn't even understand. Like it's so far out there. Like that's how I feel.
Me
I
too.
felt like we were just like this close. And then maybe this month, I would have to say this month, we went past it. Like, like it's like you turned on the fire hose and it's, you know, running at full steam and nothing can stop it.
Yeah, yeah. The point of no return.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the part where like you get on the roller coaster and you go, you know, you're at the very top of the hill and you're going to go
Yeah.
down. And that's really what it, the energetically, that's what it's like. And to me, Sherwin, that's what the dragons are like. The dragons are like, hey, you want to go higher? Give all that up.
Well,
You
well,
know,
they do.
it's not
They
even
do.
surrender. It's just like, you're nothing. And it's like you step into this doorway of I'm nothing and you enter this void and you're everything you had exponentially. Right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, the dragons do that roller coaster anyway.
Yeah. I know they do. I haven't seen the dragon energy in probably 3 weeks. But I got to
Mm.
tell you, it's been absolutely the dragon energy, and maybe it's because I'm masculine. I don't know. You know, I mean, I am feminine and masculine. Don't get me wrong, but the dragon energy is so sacred, a sacred sensuality. And I don't mean that in the porn sense of the word. I mean like power,
Yeah.
power and grace and beauty and force and holy crap. Like your chakras are orgasming and you're going, oh my God. You
Mm.
know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
I totally get it.
it is like, I don't know. I mean, I don't
It's
know if
also
it's the
raw.
original consciousness or not, but it's very, very powerful.
Mm. Well, I guess raw energy is like that. It's refined, but it still has that rawness to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, it will always feel like
Yeah.
sensual, deeply,
Yeah.
intensely. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like the goddess Kali, right?
Mm.
You know, I love you, but I'm going to rip your heart out if you don't get with it. No,
Yeah.
it's not that bad. But I mean, after all you've been through, I mean, you're 38. You had this. You told your parents at 4 years old you want to go be a monk. What happened at 13 and so on, 21. How do you feel about what's happening? How do you feel about what's happening to the world, or even a strong minority, the light workers, star seeds, whatever, that there is a consensus of what's actually happening and you can't put your finger on it and you can't see
Mhm.
it, touch it, feel it. You know what I mean? It's non-physical. I mean, after all you've been through, what does it feel like? How do you feel about what's going on for all of us and what does it mean to you?
Um, well, this like what I mentioned earlier. This is literally what we've been waiting for or working towards for the last 10, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not just me, it's like so many, all the light workers have been pushing through it. So now we're just, as humanity, we're passing through this tunnel or
Mm-hmm.
this bottleneck
Yeah.
and moving into a whole different consciousness, a whole different reality.
Yeah.
And as with all, like giving birth, there's the labor pains, and then there is all the fears around it as well. And so we are still in that huge transition to the age of light.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just have to ride it out and let whatever fear that people have just clear out.
Yeah. You said that and I can see that. I see like like a tuba, a tuba. So say a tuba is pointed that way and then it goes down into this channel that's
Yeah,
like tight and we're in
yeah,
this space.
yeah,
And as you're saying that, I'm wondering, is it going to be like a tuba coming out of it? Because that's what it
yeah.
feels like.
Whoa.
People talk about like the solar flash and 3 days of darkness, and I'm not taking shots at anybody because I don't live in that plane, but I'm just saying this is like, no matter what's been prophesized, it's almost like you don't need to know what's happening.
I
you
agree.
don't you don't need to explain it to anybody. You
Yeah.
don't need to save anybody.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's putting us in a space where just chill the f out. Just
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
lay down and let your natural nature take over, because it
Yeah.
is instinctive and it's spontaneous and
Mm,
intuitive and creative and imaginative. And everything that we were doing, let's just say previous as a whole, previous to
mm,
the quarantine,
mm,
we were in these patterns. We weren't allowed for any of this stuff. We weren't allowed. We had to plan everything. We had to control everything. And man, this is a huge collective shift. The energy of being by yourself, and being not being able to go in your routine and all that. I mean, there has to be on an energetic level a huge impact
mm.
that's way beyond anything you and I could talk about or anybody else could.
Yeah. I mean, we just look at, for example, all the on the Earth level itself, all the sacred places. They're finally given a rest from all the tourists. Yeah, I think that is important so that all the energy portals can just really
Yeah, yeah,
reset.
like the mystical sites like
Mm.
Hawaii and
Yeah,
Yellowstone Park, and yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Do you think that there's like, because of the changes, however that works, however the quantum works, is it coming from us or is it coming from the earth or whatever? Do you think there's other powerful portals that are basically coming, that are birthing on the earth plane?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I don't know where yet, but definitely I feel a lot of the
yeah,
new portals are coming up. And also some of the old dormant portals that have
yeah,
been quiet for
yeah,
a long time, they're
yeah,
also waking up. So to help again to this to help anchor the frequency so that we can move through this shift a little bit easier as time goes by.
yeah. Right on. Man, you're a cool dude. I like talking to you. You and Hung were great. Um, so like, do you have? I mean, I know you're connected to the dragons, but like, given where you live, given grid lines and all that stuff, you're obviously there for a reason. You are, you are a node, right?
Uh,
You are holding up grid points like many of us are, like all of us are, I guess, at the end of the day. But do you have a certain uh, face of the universe that you talk to every day? Is it just the one universal voice? Is it your higher self? Or do you have like a buffet?
me, I'm little bit more primitive, so more like the animals to the
Organic.
earth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, organic.
organic. That's a
Yeah.
better word. Organic, yeah. And again, connecting to the Egyptian energies, and that's about it. So, like my personal lingo or my go-to energies are just about that. Yeah, the Egyptian energies and the animal kingdom, and then the earth dragons. Yeah, yeah, and I always feel that being like choosing to incarnate in this part of the world is work itself, because like when I go to places like Glastonbury or even like Tibet and all that, that feels like home. So I get to rest there, and then when I come back here to
Work.
Malaysia, yeah, it feels like work
Yeah,
every day.
that's why I don't want to be in the United States and I can't get out because I'm here doing work.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Been like in 35 states. My wife has only been over here since 2017. She's already been in like 22 states. So, you know, yeah, I love that you said that. You go to these places, you're like, oh, I'm home. Well, you're not
Yeah.
going to stay here. I thought when we moved to Kauai, we're like, oh, we're going to live here. Finally, we're going to be together. 10 months go by and we get the call, you need to leave, sell all your stuff and leave. It's time to go to the mainland. Like, who wants to go to
Mm.
the mainland? Everybody wants to get into America. I want to get out.
I totally understand what you're saying.
I'm just making a joke. I mean, the Earth is the Earth. I'm an Earth citizen. I mean, I don't have any. There are no borders. Yeah, but you're in a special place. I mean, it's a powerful place. Anyone that's done any type of research into history, anthropology. I mean, that's a very powerful place over there, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
It's something to do with the Lemurian energies. I've not fully gotten the hang of it yet, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. I think they're all those energies are putting us, pushing us. I've heard a lot of people talk about too in the last, few weeks, talking about women that, particularly women that have come on the show because that's mostly what does.
Mm.
Uh, these hands on their back pushing them, like it's time to go. It's time to get out there
Mm.
and bring to the world and bring to the collective what you have and what you hold, the sacred wisdom. You know.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I don't normally do shows this late, but I will do one with you anytime, and maybe we can get hung in here next time. We'll just have a free for all. But you're very beautiful, brother, and I appreciate. We all appreciate the work you've been doing because even though it might look like for all of us that we're doing it, for ourselves, it's being done for the collective, and you obviously are embracing your role, and that takes a lot of balls. And so, thank you very much. And I look forward to collaborating with you again and having a few
Yeah.
laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. And I'm very grateful to be able to connect because it's not as often that
Yeah.
we find people that I can connect with so comfortably and so easily. And
Yeah.
I don't have to like think about what to say and all that. So I just appeared. So, oh, so what's up today?
Yeah, that's
So
right. That's
that's
how it.
really a
Yeah, the
relief.
show
Yeah.
before this, the lady was like, "Do you meet with people beforehand?" She's a beautiful lady. It was a great show. I'm not making fun of her. I'm like, no.
Mm,
Spontaneous, intuitive, creative, imaginative, and depending on what we're talking about, are
yeah.
doing courageous. But no, I think this is where all that energy, the dragon, the angels, I mean, the elementals, it's just information. And it's putting us in a point to be 100% present
Mm,
in the present. They're just a part of us and not to take anything away from, but they're no different than a trauma that happened to us.
totally.
That's not me, but I'm going to go forward and be me, but I can't be me unless I take it with me. So we're going to take it with us, but it's not us. We are creating the new us. We're creating the outer breath of the universe. And so,
Yeah.
and it's through these, this fusion of the human and the higher self and these multi-dimension, doubting yourself and am I crazy experiences and actually having the courage to bring them out like you. That's helped a lot of people. So again, thank you. And I look forward to getting together with you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Me too.
All right, brother. Peace out. All blessings to you